nothing changes.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Monday, November 16th, 2020. Want to cover real quickly a return topic through eBay. And this goes for any platform, but this is 100% the eBay policy. I want you guys to know about returns on as-is damaged for parts items. So a lot of people are under the misconception that you can list an item as is broken, and that you can put no returns for parts, whatever have you, as is in the title, as is in the description, and no matter what, the buyer cannot return it, and that is false. There are still allowed item not as described returns on items listed for parts as is, no returns. And you would say, well, what's the point? I'm selling a broken item. Why are they gonna let somebody send back a broken item that I've clearly listed broken as is? And here's the reason why, and you have eBay's history of scammers being on eBay to thank for this policy. So let's say that I'm a scammer and I have this MacBook that has water damage and a cracked screen. It has a little crack in the glass, right? Now, MacBook screens are expensive, so this is a bad example, but I'm just giving you an example. You are looking for a MacBook cheap, you want to get a deal on it. So you see me post this on eBay. Let's say this is a $1,000 MacBook and it has a crack in the glass and you can get the glass screen for 50 bucks, right? And so I pop it up on eBay for say 500 bucks, 550. And I'm like, cracked screen, broken, as is, no returns. You're like, sweet, I'll just get the screen for 50 bucks. You're handy, you're gonna fix it. You're gonna be $600 for what would normally be a $1,000 laptop. You guys probably see where I'm going with this. All of a sudden you buy it, you send me the money, I ship it off to you, it shows up, you see the cracked screen, you've already ordered your glass, you got it sitting there ready to go. You flip it up, you turn it on, boom, it doesn't work. Turns out it's full of water, it has water damage, it's burned out, the motherboard, the processor, it's all bad. Now you've got a worthless piece of junk that you just paid 550 bucks for. But as is, no returns. Sorry, you're out of luck. Imagine somebody doing that with a phone or an Apple Watch or whatever it is. They could certainly lie about the damage and then send you something else. This is why eBay has this policy. You have to list everything that's wrong with it. If it's cracked screen and water damage and you list that and it shows up and then it also has a bad keyboard, like the keyboard's ruined, that's an item not as described. It's coming back. You have to describe everything. Now, there's two problems with this. One, let's say you just describe it as not working. Let's say the thing doesn't power on. You don't know what's wrong with it. You don't really have a way to test it. So you just say it's dead. I don't know. Well, it could be dead from a bad battery. That's a quick, easy fix. It could be dead from water damage where it can never be repaired. It could be dead because a cable inside is disconnected and it just needs to be reconnected and it's good. Who knows, right? But if you just put dead not working and it shows up, the buyer can absolutely still file an item not as described. Now, I will give you this, that depending on the rep that you get, it could be a different outcome. But in general, eBay policy and what they teach their reps that they're supposed to do is if a customer opens an item not as described on an as-is item, the only reason they should decline it is if the complaint of not as described is the damage that was listed. So for example, if you sell a phone with a cracked screen and the person's an idiot and doesn't read, and they send it back and say, well, it was a cracked screen, that's what you described, so they would decline that. But if the buyer just comes on and goes, it's not as described, it doesn't work, they're gonna take the return back. They're gonna make you take the return back. So just keep that in mind. Being vague doesn't cover you either. Now, the second problem is that this opens you up to buyer scammers. Let's say I own a repair shop and I'm a scammer. So I buy this with cracked glass, knowing that it has cracked glass, with no intention of fixing the glass, and assuming that it may even have other problems. Even if it doesn't, who cares? I'm gonna get your item, I'm gonna take out the parts that I want from it, maybe the motherboard, maybe the RAM or the memory or whatever needs to be out of there, the fans, the batteries. I'm gonna strip it or take one part or two parts, and then I'm gonna package it back up and send it back to you. Item not as described. Doesn't even matter if it really was only just cracked. It could be fully working with just a cracked screen. I get it, take all the guts out of it, and then say, oh, it just isn't working right. Back it goes, and now you're out all of your stuff in your cracked screen MacBook. Now, Yeah, you could fight this just like anything else. If somebody says, I bought a t-shirt and it had a hole in it, and you say, no, it didn't have a hole in it, and they say, yes, it did, and you're gonna say, I sent them a perfectly good MacBook, just a little crack on it, they knew. They're gonna say, no, you didn't, you sent me a not working MacBook. Again, it's a back and forth. You gotta have proof, you gotta fight with it, you gotta pray, or you have to, do free returns and do a 50% refund and then go with it after that, or you have to file an IC3.gov fraud case and hope eBay gives you the money back, and or all of the above. So that does open it up to buyer scammers on the same way that it would open it up to seller scammers. So it's really not a perfect process. And I used to sell a lot of broken as-is items. I still do occasionally, but it's risky. Just know that it's very, very risky, and that just because you put as-is, not as described, 4 parts and no returns, if you get an item not as described and they have said there is something else wrong with it other than what you described, even if you just were vaguely saying it's dead, it doesn't work, you're taking that return and you're going to accept it back. And if you try to fight it, they're probably going to leave you negative feedback and probably open a chargeback with their credit card or PayPal if they paid that way. It's not worth it. Just take it back. But do things to protect yourself if you're selling damaged material, damaged as-is part stuff. Try to get as many pictures and evidence as you can. Obviously, if it says it has a cracked screen, take pictures of it on and off, take pictures of the crack, take pictures of the rest of the computer showing there's no real damage. Take a picture of the serial number, but when you post it, post like the last half of the serial number, not the entire serial number, so that if there's a dispute, you can do that, especially on phones and tablets. Don't post an entire serial number. You can post most of it, but not the whole thing. Computers probably safe. Your mobile wireless plan items are kind of the ones you want to be careful of posting the entire serial number. Xboxes, PlayStations, probably okay to post those as well. So there are things to do to protect yourself. Otherwise, if you get that return, it is coming back, and it's just a cost of doing business. But if you're selling a ton of stuff, especially electronics, you should be good. Most people are honest. You won't get very many, if ever, people that switch things out. Trust me, it happens. We see these stories on Facebook, but it seems like we see a lot of them because we don't see the 1 million transactions a day that happen that are good. We see the 10 that are bad. In all of our years of selling electronics, to a lot of shady people that we could tell, we really didn't have anybody switch out as-is broken stuff with take their parts and then ship it back to us bad. I can't recall any off the top of my head. There was way more other scams they were pulling than that. Maybe once it happened in thousands and thousands of phones, tens of thousands of phones, but I don't remember one comes to mind right off the top of my head. And that was over several years, 3-4 years of selling them. So I would guess that it happens so rarely that the ones we see in the group are that 1 in 10,000. So anyways, that is the return policy on items being sold broken as is, 4 parts, blah, blah, blah. And if you have any further questions, comments, concerns, as always, use that comment section down below. Also, I sold almost all of the spots for my advertising and marketing. I know we're down to like 10 or less. So if you want to advertise your store, your eBay store, in front of all of my social media following, 117,000 people in my group, a couple thousand in the other group, 107,000 plus here, almost 30,000 on Instagram, a couple thousand on Twitter, and over 20,000 direct to all my customers that are on my customer list, email list, etc. I am putting your stores out in front of everyone from now. That's 11/20. It'll be Friday, November 20th, through the end of the year, December 31st. For just $29, you will appear on a list that will be promoted, advertised, emailed, sent out, posted, stories, and pinned for the next whatever it amounts to, like 31 plus, what do we have, 14 days? So like 45 days minus the 4. So it's gonna be like 41 days that you will be up in front of everyone on a rotation through all the different platforms on different days. So if you're interested in that, rockstarflipper@gmail.com, $29 to give it a shot, and I will give you a unique URL codeless coupon that you will create inside of eBay and give to me so you can track all of the sales that come via my following in social media, and hopefully you see a big increase over the Christmas holiday. So if you want to do that, get in quick. They'll probably be sold out by tomorrow, the 17th. It's just $29, and I'll invoice you on PayPal. American sellers only for right now. Sorry, Canadians. I don't have a way for you to create a code and track it, or I would let you, and neither does anyone else. So appreciate you guys watching. As always, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for future videos. I have another one tomorrow, 2 tomorrow actually, and I'm gonna ask you guys for a little bit of help on a problem I have in tomorrow's video. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys next time.